Yes, I think we are live now. Good morning and welcome everyone. I'm Assistant Professor Dr. Nazgul Hafizi and I'm thrilled to be here with you all today. I am honored to be the moderator of this exciting webinar session organized by Arking University of Creative Arts and Design, Faculty of Design, Department of Interior Architecture and Environmental Design. In today's webinar, which is streaming live through university's social media platform, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook, we are going to discuss the topic of buildings reuse. Our guest speaker today, my former colleague and very dear friend of mine, is none other than Dr. Oldrika Grecheva, which I would like to thank her in advance for accepting our invitation and dedicating her time to us. Throughout the course of this webinar, we will have the opportunity to learn from Dr. Grecheva's experiences and engage in a thoughtful discussion on building reuse. Before giving the platform to Dr. Grecheva, I would like to read a short biography of her and introduce her to you all a bit more. Dr. Grecheva was born in 1991 in Skopje, North Macedonia. She obtained her bachelor in architecture and master degree in architectural and cultural heritage from University American College Skopje, Macedonia. In 2016, she started her PhD study in architecture in Eastern Mediterranean University, and she successfully finalized her PhD in field of co-creation and cultural heritage management in 2022. Currently, she is a senior instructor at the Department of Architecture, Eastern Mediterranean University, North Cyprus. Her research interests are in architecture, co-creation, cultural heritage, adaptive reuse, and visual arts. Dr. Grecheva is a renowned researcher with years of experience, and we are very lucky to have her with us today to share her insight and knowledge. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our esteemed guest, Dr. Oldrika Grecheva. The platform is yours, Hocam. We are very excited to hear your presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nazgoloja, and thank you so much for Arkin for the invitation. I'm very happy to be with you today, and I hope you will find my presentation useful. So I will share my screen. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, your screen is already shared. If you make it full screen, yes. Wonderful.
Is it okay now? Okay,
yes,
perfect.
Thank you.
So today I want to discuss more about the cultural benefits of former military buildings reuse. I will specifically talk about one building which was military heritage in Skopje, and how it became something else with the proper decision making and reuse. So personally, I was working from the initial stages of the developments and the decision-making process, and I was involved fully with this process of this case study and this building development. So I would start by introducing, let's say, the recent research and reviews about the decision-making processes in adaptive reuse. I will talk more about smart city concepts and what are the impacts of these new developments. I will, as I mentioned, I will explain the earlier condition of the case study of public room organization, the earlier condition of that facility that was reused, and its decision-making process. And after the implementation of the new project and the reuse, how the new condition of public room is nowadays, and how that facility and the surrounding neighborhood benefits from this project. So I would start by explaining how these multi-layered benefits will be achieved through the reuse approaches and why they are important nowadays to be implemented in our societies and in our specific environments. So the benefits are a lot. And if these approaches are properly, let's say, implemented, and the proper community and the proper stakeholders are being involved, of course, it's not an easy process. It's a very long process with lots of legislation, with lots of obstacles, but for sure, if the vision is there and if the goals are there of the one who wills to implement such a new approaches, I'm sure that the benefits will be beyond expectation. So in the ongoing research, we can follow that there are many existing typologies of buildings, especially industrial heritage, military heritage buildings, that they are potentially still in good structure. They have good quality of the physical conditions, but unfortunately they are being redundant or being neglected because of political issues or because of different influential factors, legislation, many obstacles that are there. So especially in the big cities, these kind of typologies are very much present. So being reused is kind of a new tendency in the world, and because it respects, let's say, the sustainable aspect of it. So of course, destroying these structures that they are existing in different environments, it could be very non-economic, non-beneficial, non-sustainable. So, and also this is being a very costly process because ruining them without reusing, if they're in a proper physical condition, means lots of, let's say, economical waste as well. So these challenges that they are existing, especially in the dense urban fabrics and the, let's say, bigger cities, tend to develop new approaches to planning, to design, to creative, let's say, solutions. And this is why the smart city concept and approach emerged. So because of these concepts, there are new tendencies that they are ongoing. We can see that smart buildings is one of the smart city components. And what does it mean? That means that the cities that we are living and that the buildings that we are, let's say, building it newly or reusing the previous ones could lead to a proper management and ensure different spaces. And of course, these buildings that they are existing in the communities, they could be reused together with the new up-to-date technologies. So they will contribute to the community if there is a proper management policy and if they are properly, let's say, engaged within the urban fabric of the cities. So that means that the smart buildings and the retrofit or the adaptive reuse, so-called, it is part of the smart city concept. So regarding Skopje and its national strategies, in 2000, from 2010 and 2016, the country and developed national strategies on creative industries. This has happened by creating a certain part of mapping of the cities, and it was initiated by the Ministry of Culture. So this is this process. It is encouraging and enabling the creative potential of the recent culture in Skopje and the art production. So it encourages people and organizations to, let's say, involved with such a complex processes and to, let's say, find proper heritage buildings that could be potentially reused and actively contributing to the society and to the lifestyle of people. So instead of that, these kind of buildings that would be reused, they would promote art and cultural events. They would collect the creative potential in the city and would contribute to the, let's say, local lifestyle and to the city definition. Not only that, in Skopje, these kind of new, let's say, aspects, they are supporting in creating the cultural roots within the city. So definitely it influenced the neighborhood and the heart of the capital. So you will see, I will explain further how this impacted, especially for Skopje. So if we follow the new frontiers, that there are research platforms and they're presenting the future of the cities, how it would look like, definitely city needs spaces, maxima space, sensible city, citizen sourced, urban canvas, greenscaping. That means that whatever is the future of the cities, we should be careful about how the new pop-up culture would influence, let's say, the cities in their future development. So I marked these 5 keywords because they are directly reflecting the ongoing project of public room. So I marked pop-up culture, creative clusters, collaborative economy, derelict revival, and micro parks, because these kind of keywords, I found them directly and specifically related to the case study of public room. So they are definitely the one who are coming out of the project, which was unexpected at the beginning, but with the proper management and reuse approach, these keywords emerged. So pop-up culture, what does it mean? It means when temporary venues are appearing in the city and like pop-up installations, pop-up events, that they are very short experiences and they are challenging the audience to enrich the people's life in the city and kind of show the new ongoing trends and developments and in art and the urban lifestyle. So the creative clusters always find proper places that are completely being forgotten in the city, and they are derelict, and they kind of through art and through creative engagement, they are reviving these corners, and they are trying to, let's say, bring collective benefit of one place. So another keyword that I find it related to this topic is the urban canvas. So these cities, these spots in the cities becoming targets for artistic endeavors and considered redevelopments that they are engaged citizen in and share experience and conversation through collaborative approaches to co-creative approaches. So basically these spots become from very neglected space and forgotten space in the city. They are creating a specific route for the citizens to engage in different events and creative, let's say, organizations. So adaptive reuse process always engage very complex activities, and it engages creativity, design thinking, collaborative approach, because always it results with engaging lots of factors, and it's not easy at the same time to manage all of these factors, which I listed them in this slide. So we have stakeholders. They are the building owners, the authorities, the planners, the communities, the strategies, that they can be different for adaptive reuse specifically. They can be either insertion, installation, addition, extension, or specific intervention. There are different design approaches. With the adaptive reuse approaches, we can follow a contextual approach, maybe contrast approach, building that is within the building or over or above it. So there are different design approaches for the reuse buildings. Of course, this follows with lots of feasibility studies, degrees of protection. If the heritage building is protected, there are many other obstacles that needs to be, let's say, fulfilled and respected. Involvement of the local communities and their opinion, what they are in need in that specific environment. Deep and profound analysis of the existing situation, both in macro and micro scale, especially if the nearest context, and at macro scale for the specific building. It is needed the decision of the conservation actors, the working teams, to come and decide and check what kind of possibilities they can open for that heritage building. definition of adaptive reuse potentials, concepts, typology, and methods, definition of financial changes, identification of the building, building materials, sense of place, values of that building. So all this analysis has to engage different groups and different actors, because they have to both all agree on certain decisions. And of course, it's not just the initial stages, but then later on the executive stages that come as final decision for the structure. And without all these steps until the final execution, the building wouldn't function if there is no proper management plan for future use and maintenance of the building, which I think the last part of this list, it gives the most major impact of the reused building. Because if the management plan is not existing for the future use and maintenance of the building, I think all of these other previous stages are collapsing, because then the building wouldn't be sufficiently and properly placed in use. So we are shifting to the case study, public room, or in Macedonian it's called Javna Soba. So it is positioned in the city center of Skopje. In the middle, there is the river Vardar, which divides the city, the old part and the new part of the city, in two. So we can follow the urban structure of the city center. So this is called the Big Ring. And the urban plan after the earthquake in 1963, we had the urban plan project from Kenzo Tange, and partially it is implemented. So this is called the Big Ring. And then as we go closer to the city center and the main square, this is so-called the smaller ring, which targets all the main functions and all the, let's say, cultural buildings, and targeting a proper specific route. So, for example, this is the location of the Kale Fortress. So it's an important landmark in the city. And next to it, it's the Contemporary Art Museum, which is another very important facility built after so then we come and targeting the Old Bazaar. So the Old Bazaar is spreading throughout the right bank of the river Vardar, and it is a huge part of the city. So then we come to the city square. This is the main square of the Skopje capital, and it connects to the Skopje City Museum, which this was previously an old railway station, but after the earthquake, partially it collapsed, and that Skopje City, that old railway station was reused as a city museum. So public small station, so-called National Gallery and Multimedia Center in the nearest context. And this is very close to the old railway station, and it served as the facilities. So in that region, we have all these kind of warehouses and different kind of industrial and military facility buildings that were along with the railway station. So they were all serving the railway station. And now we have this legacy of such a building that needs to be reused. And of course, we are coming to public room, which is targeting the bigger ring circle of the city. And again, it connects from one bank to the city to the other bank of the city. So this is so-called the cultural route of the city, which is targets the very important landmarks in Skopje. So if we make a close-up in map, I would specifically mention that, yes, the building typology, it is industrial and military because it's in a very nearest surrounding of the old railway station. So until 1920, this building was used as stable and as warehouse, especially it served for the military purposes and facilities, and they were kept there until 2015. Still, the Ministry of Defense was having use of this building as kind of a warehouse, but it was not used, neglected, and but location was very close to this kind of facilities that previously been reused, such as the old railway station and the small station. So today, after the reuse, this center of public room is now a center for design and innovation. So this is the small image of small station. You can see that these are all like warehouses, typologies of buildings, and they are all serving for, were serving for the purposes of the railway support. And then today, this small station, again, it is reused as multimedia center. So it works very good. So public room is very close distance to this building. This is station 26. Currently, it is working as a cafe, bar, and restaurant and lounge area. So they are all in the same district. And this is how the Skopje old city museum and the old railway station looked like. So you can see the left part of the museum. It collapsed with the very strong earthquake in 1963, and from that time it stays to remind the citizens of the disaster of the city. And now it is functioning as a city museum. So also this is the how today public room looks like in that nearest context. So basically, this was the previous condition of the building, which looked very much unattractive and very much, rejecting, especially to the nearest neighborhood, which we find all these facilities which I previously showed. So it was physically in good condition. The structure is still good. It's still available, and is with small, let's say, touches and additions, this could easily transfer into the new conditions. So they didn't need to have too much, let's say, repairs and too much ruining of the building and in the envelope part. This was the interior of the building, how it looked like. Of course, the roof was derelict and it needed to be reused because it had proper height to be used. And there's, yes, the condition was in very awful state, so no one could use it. So these are the plans of the building. It's very simple structure and very, let's say, repetitive by nature. It had a skeleton structure. So basically, the area was kind of easily to be adapted into a new use of the building. So after the project and the other developing stages, it was proposed new plans and how it will adapt and infill with very small touches without ruining the main structural walls, because some of them were with massive structure. And this was the first plan, how it could adapt into seminars, different kind of multimedia rooms, kitchen, bar, and service areas. So basically, the building was governed by Ministry of Defense. And as I mentioned, it was previously used for military purposes, but it was not sufficiently used and it was completely neglected. The public room organization, which was the initiator of this new project, which this organization is organizing the main event of the city, it's called Skopje Design Week. So they were having in need to have a new space, but they wanted to have a kind of a heritage space because this kind of events needs also the proper space for exhibiting these workshops. So basically, the Ministry of Culture wanted a new function to be approved for this facility, and it was a long process until all the approvals from Ministry of Defense and transfer of the legislation. to be given to public room organization to the facility to be used for specific purposes. So then after all these approvals, the possible modification of the building was done, and there was no specific strict protection applied because it is an industrial and military heritage. So they didn't have any degree of protection, which made the process kind of much easier to adjust. And then additional structural reinforcements was done on the roof. They changed, the roof was completely changed because it was not secure. But besides that, very small implementation of the walls and the structure was done, and some few openings were done, and shading elements were added. And in 2015, this building opened with all these projects and these execution stages done. So basically, these are the initial renders, but the management didn't want to have kind of very initially they wanted to make it as a military green building, but then they shifted into more, let's say, different colors. They didn't want to make disturbances in the neighborhood, even though this was the initial idea. These are part of the, let's say, ongoing execution of the project stages. So today, this center works as a center for design and innovation. So basically, is a new life in the city, and it has different kind of activities. It has free co-working spaces for freelancers. It has concept store. It has prototyping room for people who want to innovate and test their, let's say, projects. You can rent places for personal events. There are commercial bazaars organized weekly based, fine arts and photo exhibitions, professional presentations. There are workshops for cooking, workshops for children and adults. They are organizing business meetings, seminars, and different kind of events, live music, and so on. So it's really a kind of anchor in the city, and it really attracts lots of people. So it attracts different kind of age groups, from children to elderly. So somehow it became a magnet for the citizens to go in the city, and it is a really trendy place to be in the city. Because it's really dedicated to gastronomy, to creativity, to design and innovation. So people are in need of such a places where they can feel freely and they can work together and organize their meetings and seminars there. So it's a hybrid space, and it's a flexible space at the same time, because everybody can be part of a different activity area. So the benefits that unexpectedly were achieved from these reuse projects were both for the building and the economic development of the building, and same as in the urban scale, because it's not just the building that benefits from these events and this organization, but at the urban scale, it opened up new gate to the city, because this part was kind of forgotten and inactive with this kind of cultural events. So now it attracts both local and foreign visitors, and it is participating in preserving the collective memory. So this place is breathing with different life and with new style. So basically, the Ministry of Culture, it has 20 years. I think they allowed for this organization to use this project. So after 20 years, if it is successful, definitely they're gonna renew it, the contract and the agreement. So besides the cultural, social, and economic benefits, there are also environmental benefits, functional benefits, technological and aesthetical. So overall, the start of this project didn't promise, let's say, this amount of benefits, but after the execution, it turned into a different positive development and mainstream. So from a derelict and forgotten place in the city, now it is definitely an active anchor and magnet in the city. So you can see some of the photos. They are trying to implement different kind of also mm, green terraces, and try to implement different um kind of organic farming, which is recent ongoing trend there. So it is a really small scale building, but still the effect it is much bigger than it is. So um, you can see also different events during design week, how the workshops were organized and how meetings were done. There is gastronomy events, events for children, meetings, seminars. So overall, I would highlight again the future of the cities. This building really, it is targeting the pop-up culture in the city, and it's really a creative cluster in the surrounding neighborhood. It contributes to the local economy, and it engages different kind of groups and communities. So it is a revived space of the city, and definitely the tendency and the new way of these facilities to implement more and more, let's say, greenery, to be kind of a micro park and micro urban hub in that place. So overall, I think through this reuse project, the pop-up culture was targeted, the creative cluster and revival of these derelict spaces was done, and a public room as an urban canvas allows artists and everyone who wants to collaborate um, to be engaged within that space. So basically, this can show us that really the cultural benefits of any kind of besides military former buildings or industrial heritage buildings, they can really bring benefit not just to Skopje and not just to our country, but it could, with proper analysis and proper selection of such a derelict building, it could bring in any environment as well. So if you have any questions, thank you for today. So I would be expecting questions.
Thank you so much, Ola Hoca, for very interesting presentation. Actually, I found the topic very interesting, especially for the country that we are living as well. I'm sure you are even more familiar than me that we have lots of opportunities to apply this adaptive reuse in many buildings in North Cyprus even. Before continuing the discussion with you, I am asking the participants if they have any comments and questions. If not, actually, I wanted to ask you. Basically, you said the project has been opened from 2015, and it is
Yes.
in, let's say, industrial area of the city. How this really improved the lifestyle of people of the neighborhood and how they are reacting towards it? Like, how was the improvements in general?
Well, to be honest, everybody wants to go there. There is no sufficient space because all the young generation, the older generation, everybody wants to reserve a space there and to be present in these events, because they are also organizing very much international events, and they are engaging lots of guests from Netherlands, from European countries, from Scandinavia, from all around the world. They are engaging people because their network is very good, and they have the design week, Skopje Design Week organization, having lots of international, let's say, contacts, and they are trying to really implement and invite them in different activities. So famous chefs are coming and having workshops there with the local communities, engaging children with different activities, playgrounds. So now everybody wants to be there. Doesn't matter of the other part. It's really a trendy place to be. and still it is not now 7 years it's ongoing, but the management didn't stop. Still, whoever you ask, they want to be part of it. That's why I said that management of such a place doesn't matter how much successful the project is. If the management is not proper, that means that everything collapses. So if the building stays like that, just if it's beautiful or it has the aesthetics, and it's not used sufficiently, it is worthless. So after 7 years, this project still it is a hot topic in the country, in the city.
So the
So
activities that you were mentioning in the presentation, they are still ongoing, although like many
yes,
years passed,
yes,
but still
yes, it
it
is
is
still
active.
going,
So
and even yeah, annually based, Skopje Design Week organizes different workshops and different, let's say, participants from all around the world, and still it is a famous event for the capital.
yeah, there is one more question, and then we can wrap it up and finish it for today. Uh, Basically, based on your presentation, this is a very successful project for the city. Are they planning any more similar projects in that neighborhood? Because I believe this is not the only building. The whole neighborhood is somehow industrial zone, and maybe there are more buildings that they can be converted and reused. Is there any other project going on, or is there any plans for the future?
Well, this organization, personally, I know that they are developing different projects that are remote of the city. So now they are organizing kind of a satellite neighborhoods that they want to um, go more into residential purposes, because they want to, let's say, invest and promote the living of city beyond the city. So they don't want to focus now specifically for that building at the city scale, but they shifted more towards residential areas that they could be, let's say, they could be an example of living off, and again promoting farming and healthy lifestyle, and let's say being in nature and being connected to nature. They sustainable in that sense. So they want to create this kind of communities around the city, because Skopje is really being polluted, and it's really being dense with the construction. So they try to promote this kind of new, let's say, lifestyle of shifting people from the city center to the other areas, which will offer more healthy and more unpolluted living.
Yes.
These are
Uh,
new trends that are ongoing there in the city.
yes. I would like to thank you again for the time that you dedicated to us for a wonderful presentation. It was my honor to host you here in Arkin University. Uh,
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being with you. If
yeah,
there are any other questions.
Uh, we don't have more questions. I believe the video of the webinar will be available later on our in our YouTube channel of the university. So for sure, our students can follow it again. Again, thank you so much, and we hope to
Thank
host you
you.
again in the other events.
Definitely, you can count me in for whatever is needed. It was pleasure being with you, and hope you find it useful for you and your students. Thank you so much, dear Nazbol
Thank
Hoca.
you so much. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.